All right, picture this. You're at a crowded party, someone walks right up to you, smiling warmly, and clearly they know exactly who you are. They say your name, extend a hand, and introduce themselves. You smile back, you shake their hand, and say, "Hey, great to meet you." And then, literally 5 seconds later, their name is completely gone, just erased. So now you're just nodding along, laughing at the right moments, desperately scanning your memory like you lost your keys in a dark room, all while having a perfectly normal conversation with a person whose face you will absolutely remember 10 years from now. Sound familiar? So, where exactly did their name go? Well, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack that. Because I want to assure you right off the bat, this super awkward memory wipe, it isn't a flaw in your hardware. It is your brain working exactly as it was designed to. You see, most people carry around this fundamental misunderstanding of how memory works. We kind of just assume it functions like a video camera, right? Point, shoot, store. We think we have equal objective access to everything we experience. But your memory, it is playing by a completely different set of rules. The truth is, your brain is a curator, not a camera. And just like any highly skilled curator at a top-tier museum, it has to make choices. It makes these ruthless, lightning-fast choices about what deserves prime space on the gallery wall and what just gets shoved into a dusty storage room. And in that brutal, unforgiving hierarchy of what actually matters to your brain, faces sit at the absolute very top. Names, well, honestly, names barely even make the waiting list. Today, we're exploring the cognitive and evolutionary psychology of why your brain is hardwired to lock onto a human face with almost photographic precision, while a person's name slips through your fingers like water. What's truly fascinating here is the highly specialized neural real estate your brain dedicates to this entire process. Let's start with the face itself. When you look at someone's face, even for a single fleeting second, your brain isn't just passively taking in an image. It is processing a massive, massive data set. Cognitive neuroscientists have actually identified this incredible region called the fusiform face area. It's located right in the temporal lobe, and it activates specifically and exclusively for human faces. Seriously, it doesn't light up for objects. It doesn't light up for words, only faces. So what exactly is that dedicated brain region doing? While in a single, literal, millisecond glance, your brain is extracting this incredibly rich, layered psychological data. First up, emotional state. Are they happy, nervous, angry, or, maybe hiding something? Second, it checks approximate age and health, which instantly tells you about their vitality. Third, it maps subtle asymmetries and features, giving you a totally unique identity signature for the person standing right in front of you. And finally, social intent. Are they approaching as a friend, a threat, a rival, or maybe a potential ally? I mean, that is not simple visual data. That is a multi-dimensional psychological portrait, assembled faster than the blink of an eye. And this stark contrast brilliantly highlights the core of our problem. On one side, we have the face, this incredibly rich, layered, multi-dimensional psychological portrait your brain just built. On the other side, we have the name. I really want you to sit with what a name actually is for a second. Michael, Sarah, James. It is a completely arbitrary sequence of sounds chosen by a person's parents before they ever even met you. These sounds carry absolutely zero intrinsic information about the human being standing in front of you. They're just labels. And the brain, in its extraordinary efficiency, treats those sounds exactly like that. To really understand why the brain prioritizes data this way, we have to look back to evolutionary psychology. Let's go way, way back, long before names were ever written on business cards or stored in your phone's contact list. Actually, before there were formal names at all, early human beings were navigating a genuinely dangerous social world. Your ancestors needed to answer one absolutely critical question faster than conscious thought could ever manage. Is this person safe, or are they a threat? And a face? A face answered that question instantly. A name tells you absolutely nothing, in the dark, at a distance, in a moment of danger. A face tells you everything you need to survive. And this survival skill isn't just some neat surface-level trick. It is foundational architecture. Neuroscience shows us that this system is so deeply embedded and so structurally protected that it survives even profound amnesia. There are patients who literally cannot remember what they ate for breakfast, what year it is, or even the verbal names of their closest family members. And yet, they can still recognize faces they've seen before. The facial recognition system is baked into your biology at a level that names, which, evolutionarily speaking, are just a very recent human invention, simply cannot compete with. But okay, let's fast forward back to the present day, back to that awkward handshake at the party. Setting evolution aside for just a moment, there is a very specific psychological mechanism actively sabotaging your name retention at the exact moment of an introduction. It's called divided attention. It's basically what happens when you run internal background processing programs simultaneously, and they totally consume the severely limited capacity of your working memory. Your short-term mental workspace only has so much room to begin with. Let's see how this builds into what psychologists actually call the introduction trap. When someone introduces themselves, you aren't just calmly listening to their name. No way. You are running a totally chaotic sequence of thoughts. Step 1, hear the name. Step 2, judge your own handshake. Was that too firm, too weak? Step 3, monitor your self-impression. Do I look confident right now? Step 4, frantically plan what to say next to keep the conversation going. This rapid, overlapping internal chatter completely consumes your cognitive bandwidth. Your working memory is literally hijacked by self-monitoring. So here's the absolute most crucial point. When that name disappears 5 seconds later, it's not actually because you failed to remember it. The name didn't disappear. It never entered the door in the first place. Think of your working memory kind of like a funnel. At the exact moment the name was being poured in, you were also pouring in anxiety about your handshake, your posture, and your very next sentence. The funnel overflowed. You literally did not have enough cognitive bandwidth left to encode the name into your brain. You never truly heard it. And the deck is stacked against names even further when we look at how long-term memory actually works. Memory relies on associative networks. Things stick in your memory because they connect to something else already living there. When you see a face, your brain instantly anchors it to a massive web of existing knowledge and meaning. Oh, this person looks kind. They remind me of someone I trust. But a name? Unless you already deeply love or intensely loathe someone named David, that name arrives into your memory like a drifting boat with absolutely no anchor. Without deliberate mnemonics to artificially tie that boat to a dock, it is, for sure, going to float away. Zooming all the way out, we just have to recognize the sheer scale of how our brains are built. We are fundamentally, biologically visual creatures. Just look at this number, 30%. Approximately 30% of your entire cortex, that is nearly a third of your whole brain, is dedicated strictly to processing visual information. To put that into perspective, the auditory processing regions, where a spoken name actually registers, they account for only a tiny, tiny fraction of that space. This is hundreds of millions of years of evolution explicitly prioritizing sight. And because of this massive visual processing power, the average human brain can effortlessly maintain roughly 5,000 facial identities over the course of a lifetime. 5,000. And honestly, some research suggests that number might be significantly higher. Your brain maintains these identities with incredible durability. The verbal label system, our naming system, simply never evolved to match that staggering capacity. It wasn't designed to. Names are just a very recent cultural technology layered delicately over ancient, perfectly tuned visual hardware. So the next time you're standing across from someone, smiling and desperately trying to reconstruct a name that just evaporated into thin air, I want you to remember this. You are running extraordinarily sophisticated hardware that was simply never built to care about what somebody's parents decided to call them. You are not broken. You do not have a terrible memory. You are operating a highly advanced survival machine. You are experiencing the inevitable product of a brain that evolved over millions of years to read the room, not to catalog the guest list. Out of all the endless noise, the infinite data, and the constant verbal information flying at you from every single direction, your brain looks at another human being and makes a profound choice. It says, that human visual connection matters. That face, I'll keep. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. If your brain is quietly prioritizing faces and dumping names without you even realizing it, what else is your psychological machinery doing without your permission? There is an entire hidden world of psychology driving your daily life. From the science of first impressions to the secrets your body language is broadcasting while you're busy worrying about your words, we'll be diving into all of that in future explainers. Thanks so much for joining me today, and stay